Diane Prince lives quietly among mortals in the vibrant, sleek 1980s, an era of access driven by pursuit of having it all. Though she's come into her full powers, she maintains a low profile by curating ancient artifacts and only performing heroic acts incognito. But soon Diane will have to muster up all her strength, wisdom, and courage as she finds herself squaring off against Maxwell Lord in the Cheetah, a villainess who possesses superhuman strength and agility. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot back again with a brand new movie review, and this time we're talking about a film I was so excited to check out, and that is Wonder Woman 1984. I got a chance to see it early, courtesy of Warner Brothers, and we are now discussing it. Now, this will be a spoiler-free review, so if you haven't seen the film, no worries, no spoilers whatsoever. I'm just going to give you all my general pros, my cons, my overall thoughts, my score. Is it better than the first? Should you check it out? Well, we're going to talk about it in this spoiler-free review, but before we dive into it, as you can see on the screen now, make sure you're following me on all my other social media accounts like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, which you can find all those links in the description below. If you are new to this channel, welcome to the community. Consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. That way you can get the alert from when I drop new videos. It would mean so much to me if you all can like and share this video. It helps out the channel, but I also really appreciate the support. And in the comments, let's discuss your excitement level for this movie. And once you've seen it, let's discuss it. Your pros, your cons, your thoughts on the direction, the performances, the story, the cinematography, the score. What would you like to see in future Wonder Woman movies? And also, is this better than the first? Let me know your thoughts on that. And what are your top 5 DCEU movies, including Wonder Woman 84, in the comments below. So this movie comes with a lot of baggage, right? We know the history of this film has been delayed quite a few times. There's been some behind the scenes issues with Patty and Warner Brothers. This is the huge announcement that we got from Warner Brothers a couple weeks ago with this film and many other films next year being on HBO Max and in theaters at the same time. So no doubt a lot of baggage, but nonetheless, I was so excited to see this film. I love what we got 3 years ago in Wonder Woman. I love Patty as a director, Gal as Wonder Woman. I love the Wonder Woman character and what she stands for. So I was really excited to see this film, and here we are discussing it, starting off with my positives. We are full out in the 80s in this movie. It plays into the nostalgia. It plays into the tongue-in-cheekness of this story. It plays into the cheesiness of that time era, and I really enjoyed that aspect and kind of that tonal shift. Now, speaking of that tonal shift, if you all have seen Wonder Woman 2017, it's fun. It has a tongue-in-cheek approach to it as well, but it's also dark and very serious. And this film has those elements, but it more so plays into uplifting the story, being more kind of comedic and being a little bit more fun and lighthearted. And I think that's the intent that Patty went for, right? If you all follow her in a lot of interviews she's done in a few years, she wanted something different. She wanted to give us something bright, something more uplifting, especially in the times that we're in now. So I really enjoyed the lightheartedness that we get within this story. And going back to Patty Jenkins, who I mentioned I'm a big fan of, she's so great in this movie. Her direction, I just love her as a director. It makes so much sense why she's sought out, one of the most sought out directors in Hollywood. Shout out to her and Star Wars and what we're going to get with that film. But I really appreciate the swinging for the fences in this movie. Some of it works, some of it doesn't work, but I just appreciate the ambitious nature of what she was trying to do in this movie and making it very personal and making it, again, very uplifting. And I love how she pays homage to a lot of classic comic book movies, whether it be 1978 Superman, which I've been saying it for years. I would love to see Patty take on the Superman character, do it justice like she did with Wonder Woman. Let Henry Cavill play the role, but that's another story for another day. But she pays homage to 78 Superman, Batman 89, Batman Returns, and a lot of those films that we got during that era that, again, plays into the time. And again, the whole theme of a lot of those stories, especially Superman, uplifting the character, uplifting the story, and making the audience be proud to be a fan of the character. So again, Patty's great in this movie. Another thing I really love about her as a director is she's able to pull the best out of her talent. And that's where I want to kind of switch things over to the performances, starting off with the newcomers, starting with Pedro Pascal, the Mando himself as Maxwell Lord. He is so great in this movie. He's one of my favorite standout characters in this film. I mean, he is the king of the infomercial. He wants more. He wants to take more. That is his character in this film. And I really enjoyed that. You know, I mentioned Superman a little bit earlier. Pedro is definitely channeling his inner Gene Hackman as he played Lex Luthor, kind of meets this schemer, this con man type of character, very over the top villain, which I appreciated because it fits again into the tone, into this era, and I really appreciate that character. And there's a lot of layers to Pedro, especially in that first two halves of the film, and we'll talk about the third act a little bit later, but he's not one-dimensional. We understand his motives, we kind of see where he's coming from, and that always makes a really interesting villain and a really rich villain. And I really enjoyed the Lex Luthor-ish type of performance that we get from Pedro. So switching gears over to Kristen Wiig, who plays Barbara, aka Cheetah. I'll say this about Kristen: I'm a big fan of her work. I think she's very funny. I think she plays the Barbara character really well. I'll leave Cheetah for a little bit later, but nonetheless, I really enjoyed how Barbara was played. And going back to my paying homage, it really reminded me of Michelle Pfeiffer as Selena Kyle before she transformed into Catwoman. You get a lot of those vibes in the Barbara character, and I like what we get from that character. But we'll leave Cheetah for a little bit later. Now, focusing on the heroes, Diana Prince, aka Wonder Woman, played by Gal Gadot, and Steve Trevor, brought back from the dead somehow, some way, which we won't talk about in this review. We'll leave that for another review. But he is played by Chris Pine. Now, look, the chemistry's still there. It was not a fluke. It wasn't a one-hit wonder. They have such great chemistry together as Diana, as well as Steve Trevor. They're back at it again. I really enjoy what we get with those characters, especially when we go to Steve. He plays the sidekick so well to Wonder Woman. He plays the character. You can see the love. You can see the happiness in both characters, and I just really enjoy the performance that we get from Chris. And I gotta switch over to the MVP of this movie. I mean, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, from the first time I saw her in BVS at Lex Luthor's party to seeing her donning the suit at the end of BVS, she is Wonder Woman. This is the fourth time she's played the character, and to me, she is on my personal Mount Rushmore of superhero characters. She was born to play this role, and she gives you so much in this movie. Seeing her character from the first time we saw her in 1918 to now seeing her in 1984, Gal gives you so much dimensions with this character. You see the growth in Wonder Woman. You see Gal playing one of the greatest superheroes ever created, from the moments of her playing Diane to playing the kick-ass character Wonder Woman to seeing some of Wonder Woman's weaknesses, which I really kind of enjoyed that aspect, and adding some new layers to the character and some dimensions, to adding in more complexity to the character, new abilities to the characters, and we just get such a great performance by Gal. Again, she is Wonder Woman through and through and will always be my Wonder Woman. And now kind of wrapping up my positives here, I definitely want to highlight the GOAT Hans Zimmer score was so great. It was, some new stuff that we got there, some previous score that we got in another DCEU film that I will not name, that I really liked its appearance in this film. So the score was great. The scenes that we get at the mascara were, of course, great. And the young girl that plays Diane, she was fantastic as always. The film has a really great message in this movie. There are no shortcuts to success. Truth always wins. The greed will always get the best of you, and sometimes less is better than more. I really love the themes that we get within this movie, and it's, like I said, so uplifting. And listen, one of the things that I think myself, maybe you, as well as Patty Jenkins has said about the first Wonder Woman was the third act. Now, I wasn't a fan of the CGI, Ares fight and all that stuff, and like I said, more recently, Patty Jenkins talked about how she wanted it to be more of an intimate finale. That's what we get in this film. It is very personal. It is an incredible third act, in my opinion. It is definitely a great conclusion to this story, and it was more, like I said, it was more than just a CGI fest, even though there's a fight in the third act, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But the message, the theme, there's a scene that we get from Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. She gives this incredible speech that almost brought me to tears, and it really kind of sums up what makes Wonder Woman such a fantastic superhero and what she stands for. And there isn't necessarily a no man's land incredible scene that we got in the first Wonder Woman, but there is a scene that we get in this film that is incredible and so powerful, and is just played incredibly by Gal Gadot. Now, switching over to my criticisms that I have with this film. Now, there's three acts obviously in every film, and each one of the acts in this movie, there were some flaws, but I'll get into spoilers. I mentioned earlier, there's some cheese going on in this movie, and there's some scenes that you all have seen from trailers, and they might have been clips online, but The mall scenes, one of the opening sequences of the film, I'm not gonna lie, that was just too much cheese. That was too over the top for my personal take. From the acting, not Gal's acting, but the thieves and the girl being held, all that stuff did not work for me. We spent a lot of the first half and into the second half kind of building our new characters, you know, Barbara and Maxwell, and all that stuff worked, and we get the, you know, the reuniting of Steve and Diane, and that's a good like 45 to 50 minutes of the film. I will say, as far as criticisms go within that first and into the second half, was some of the pacing was a bit off, and also the execution of those scenes didn't really work for me. And there were points, I'm not gonna lie, that I was slightly bored with where the story was headed, and I wasn't bored at all in 2017's Wonder Woman, but there were some points in this film that I just felt it was a bit underwhelming. Now, going into some of the characters, again, I had mentioned that Maxwell Lord has some good kind of backstory and good development. Barbara's character, I kind of enjoyed you know, what we get with that character and kind of where she's coming from. But then when we get the transformation of them becoming the more of the villains of the story, I'm not gonna lie, it didn't always work for me, because I felt like the development of the characters took a backseat to them just becoming villains, just traditional villains that you've seen a million times in other films before, you know, in particularly going to the Cheetah character. I like Barbara. I like Kristen Wiig as Barbara, but Cheetah didn't work. I was hoping that in the context of seeing the film and seeing the CGI that was going to play better in the movie, but it just didn't look right to me, especially the fight sequence. It was just so short. I felt the transformation wasn't earned. I really wish we gotten more of the Cheetah character and actually more of the Barbara and Diane's kind of story of them becoming friends. I felt that was a little bit too quick for my personal taste. And then again, like I said, Maxwell, he had some motives, he had some motivations, he had some good character development, but then again, by the time we get to the second act and he's doing his villain thing, it just became just too on the nose for me personally. I mentioned the recreating of some of the incredible moments that we got from the first Wonder Woman. Some of it worked, some of it didn't. I give props to Steve Trevor and Diana, their relationship, they're great, but seeing the fish out of water yet again in this movie just felt too familiar. I wish we would have gotten something new. And also, speaking of Steve Trevor, one of the big things is, how does he come back? I'm not going to spoil it, that's a video for another day, but the reasonings behind why he came back and the execution and also the MacGuffin in this film, very underwhelming. I'm just going to kind of leave it at that. So those are my criticisms. Again, I'm going to get more in depth in a spoiler review, so keep an eye out for that. But before I give you all my overall thoughts and my score of this film, make sure you like, share, comment your thoughts in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell. That way you can get the alert from when I drop new content. With that being said, let me share with you all my overall thoughts and my score for Wonder Woman 1984. So overall, I did have a fun time with this movie, and I did appreciate the tongue-in-cheek nature around the story that we were given. It is a throwback not only to the 80s, but it pays homage and respect to films like Superman 78, like Batman 89, as well as Batman Returns, but of course adding the great sensibilities in the direction of Patty Jenkins, who adds her own flair to this story. All the actors were great in their roles, but it was highlighted by Gal Gadot and Pedro Pascal. The action was great, the finale was emotional and very impactful in its main message, but there were some pacing issues at points. I found the script to be messy, and the film was about 20 minutes too long. So I asked you all up top, do I think this is better than the original? Not for me. I find 2017's Wonder Woman to be the more superior film. But with that being said, I still enjoyed this film. I like Wonder Woman 84, but I don't love it. With that being said, I'm going to give this film a 3.5 out of 5. Again, check it out. Have a good time. When you check it out, let me know what you all thought of it. Let me know your pros, your cons, what you hope to see in future films, and what is your favorite, this one or the original, and also share with me your top 5 DCEU films in the comments below. So this was the last big film I was looking forward to this year. So what you all can expect for this movie is a spoiler review in the coming days. And then in the coming weeks, we got top 10 movies of 2020. We have my favorite movies on Netflix, my favorite series from Netflix, as well as my top 10 shows of this year. So a lot of great content coming for you all pretty soon. So hit that bell so you don't miss any of that content. Thank you all for watching this review. Hope you're staying safe. Happy holidays, and we'll see you on the next video.